Welcome to this Jagdpanzer E100 replay, and the Jagdpanzer in this replay is played by KillerYoranTheHedgehog, who you might have seen before on my channel. He's one of the earlier subscribers, one of the more dedicated followers of this channel. He's been away for a short while, but he came back and sent me this really nice replay in the Jagdpanzer E100 on mines. Now, the Jagdpanzer E100 is it is a really good TD. If you get the right map and if you don't get heat spamming tier 10 mobs, then the armor is effective. The gun is really nice. It does around 1,000 damage per shot with really nice penetration, and basically the front armor of this vehicle is really good, apart from the lower front plate, which is a well-known weakness in German tanks, so by now you should really be used to it. Also, that little cupola on the left top is a weak spot, so if you come up against these tanks, just don't fire gold, just shoot the little cupola at the top because it hardly has any armor. And it's relatively easy to shoot, especially from closer ranges. We already saw Joran do 1,100 something damage to that WZ, who didn't feel too well anymore. And now he's just trying to see if that Waffentrigger on the hill has a shot on him. It doesn't seem to, so he carefully moves up. There's an E100 around the corner, and his team is moving up on the right flank as well. So he's got some really nice cover. There we go. TD. Shot in the engine deck, and that's another 1,200 damage. So, well, nearly 1,300. So that brings the total up to nearly 2,500 damage in the first 2 minutes of the match, which is really nice, especially in the tier 10 match. So, as you can see, gun really nice. It seems to hit even if it's not fully aimed, which is quite nice. I mean, normally only Russian guns do that. Definitely the French guns don't do that, so don't try it with French guns. Another 1,000 damage on that E100, and the E100 is actually shooting HE, so good for him. I mean, it's always nice to see that people either play with AP or HE in that tank instead of just loading the heat. And his buddy at the back is doing reasonably alright. Let's check. Yeah, he has taken 700 damage from something, so he needs to be a little bit more careful. Joran, in the meantime, has taken 200 damage, but he's got 2,000 HP left, so that's more than enough. And he's just keeping Overwatch on this flank to see what happens. There's two mediums in the middle that are basically holding back a heavy and multiple heavies and multiple mediums on the hill. Don't know why the enemy team is playing so cautiously. They should really do some more spotting and let their team work. They have a pretty good batch of artillery, so he is certain to be able to put some nice damage in if his position is nice. So at this point, Joran decides that it's not really useful staying on the other side anymore. There doesn't seem to be happening much. The E100 sort of lost his will to fight, so he got out of there. And a good thing too, because the T-54 on the hill finally decided to make himself useful and spot enemy tanks. So Joran, he was proxy spotted, I think, but he was not in a position to get shot at, which is most important in this thing, because the armor is really good at the front, but on all the other sides it's sort of meh. Most of the time it's not really effective, at least not when I come up against these things. You can basically penetrate them from all sides quite easily. So now Joran decides to go up in the middle again. If he hides his lower front plate, there's really not much that can happen to him unless they decide to load the heat. He does a sort of his shot at that IS-7, but even if that had hit, there's a very slim chance that that would have penetrated. And there you go. His buddy gets taken out by one shot from the artillery, so that's 1,300 damage in one shot, because balance. That arty just did more damage in one shot than this TD does, so yeah. And over a hill, so he doesn't even need a clear line of sight. Yeah, gotta love arty. So that puts us in the unfortunate position that a really nice tier 10 TD has been taken out, which, yeah, is a bit of a setback. He could have done a lot of damage, which is always needed in tier 10 matches. There's so much HP to go around, so you need your guns to actually take this HP out. I mean, in lower tier matches it's more easy to do this. And this IS-7, don't know what he's thinking. Probably not much, because he thinks his armor will hold up, but it won't if you show your lower front plate like that. IS-7 is really strong, but it's also important to know the capabilities of your armor when playing it. So, his team is now behind, because pretty much everyone on the right flank got taken out. Which is unfortunate, but Joran can't really do much either, because this E50M is a royal pain in the butt. The enemy Unicum AMX 120 scoots across as soon as Joran gets spotted here, so he got out safely, which is unfortunate. It's always really important to try and focus down good players, if possible. I mean, you shouldn't brainlessly charge after them and lose a lot of HP for nothing, but if you can shoot them over a tomato tank, you shoot them. You don't shoot the tomato, even though, yeah, it might have a higher chance of penetrating the tomato. You just don't want to do that, because that tomato, on average, does far less damage than a Unicum player, so it's always important to take out the best players first. And I hate XVM focusing as much as all the other good players, because it's really annoying and it doesn't level the playing field between players. I mean, if Wargaming were to decide to stop supporting XVM, or if, in other words, just removing the option to have stats in-game, I would applaud this, because at least then I wouldn't get focused by tomato artillery with XVM all the time as well, because that's really fucking annoying. But it doesn't seem to be like they will be removing it anytime soon, so I guess we'll just have to hide a little bit more. And now he took out this E100, and there's a little light tank over there, who, if he's smart, doesn't go forward. But he's not smart, obviously. So, Joran takes aim, and boom, 2 kills. Now the Batchat comes around the corner, and the Batchat hasn't understood it. He doesn't focus the M103 right in front of him, but actually tries putting shots into Joran, because Joran is the more dangerous player in this situation. The 268 bounced, Joran just moves up, 268 misses, and Joran doesn't. So the scores are pretty even again, luckily. And the AMX 120 Unicum driver lost a lot of HP. He's on 100 HP at the moment, but the M103 is also a one-shot, so it's a bit tricky. And then the Waffenträger shows up, and the M103 gets taken out by the Unicum. So, yeah, there we go. And now Joran wants to see if he can get a shot on that guy. But obviously, the AMX 120 isn't stupid. He backs off, but gets taken out by the Object 268, and that is absolutely the right thing to do for that Object 268, instead of putting a shot into that Waffenträger. So now he is in the unfortunate position. At this point, I think it might have been smarter for Joran to look to the left earlier, because now he exposes his sight to the Batchat. He probably knew, well, he definitely knew the Batchat was there, but I guess he sort of guessed that the Batchat wouldn't come around the corner. But the Batchat is not a stupid player, he's a green player, so he's actually quite competent. And the Waffenträger managed to take out the 268, unfortunately, but he's on 200 health, so that puts him definitely in one-shot territory for the arty. Joran, in the meantime, has done 8k damage and 4 kills, so, but now he's in a tricky situation, and there's really, I thought about it, because I've had this replay for a couple of days, I thought about it on how to solve this, but now he's caught in between 2 tanks, the Batchat on the hill and the Jagdpanzer on the left. But the thing is, the Jagdpanzer is reloading at this point, and that takes about anywhere between 40 seconds and about a minute, so it gives him time to retreat. But at this point, the Object 268 says go back to base. And while this is a good move in the sense of team play, it isn't in sense of tactics, because this means that Joran puts himself even more in between two tanks. The Batchat on the hill has no trouble spotting him, but if he does that, he's stupid. But he gets away with it on 100 health, so that at least puts him in one-shot territory as well. But the thing is, he moves even further back and he enlarges the distances between both tanks. The only thing I see that he could have gotten out of this better is if he'd gone around the edge of the hill to the right, but the problem is then the Batchat only has to drop behind him and kill him. So there isn't really a good solution to handle this situation other than trying to get as much cover between you and the Jagdpanzer. But the Jagdpanzer probably is reloaded by now, so he has to angle for two tanks at once, and it can be done in this TD, but it's not easy. So he moves up to this bush to see if he can spot, but he gets spotted by the Batchat and shot by the Batchat, and that is unfortunate. And now the Waffenträger comes around the corner. He tries to keep this bunker between him and the Jagdpanzer while angling for the Batchat, which is the good thing to do, but the nose of his tank goes too far forward. So that was 3 shots from the Jagdpanzer, so he has 2 more. So that's 1 more shot. He's on 600 health. He can't be killed by Jagdpanzer E100. He can take damage though. He takes damage in the corner, and now he's on 56 health. Artie takes out the Jagdpanzer, and he tries to angle for the Batchat. And the Batchat takes a really nice shot. I don't know where that shot actually hit. It could have hit on the top front plate, because that is, if I'm not mistaken, 250 armor, and the Batchat has 258 penetration, so he can actually penetrate that. I would guess at that angle he tried, or maybe the engine deck. But Joran unfortunately is taken out after having done 9,090 damage. Now we've got the Artie against the Batchat. The Batchat could technically kill this Artie in one shot if he gets a high roll, but the Batchat gun does 390 damage and the Artie is still full health. Artie at this point ducks behind the building and waits. That's the right thing to do. See if the Batchat comes. The Batchat probably saw him fire, or saw the tracer, so he might think he's on the right. And Joran is a good sport about it. Let's talk a little bit about his performance. He got 1319 base XP for this match, a high caliber medal, and obviously an ace tanker. I think it's also the first time I featured this TD on this channel. And now the Batchat is capping. The Batchat knows the Artie is in this corner, but not exactly where. So the Artie, instead of rushing around the corner, waits. Because maybe the Batchat gets complacent and relaxes and thinks the Artie might be somewhere else, might change the direction of his turret. But the thing is, he needs to make the shot count. This is the TN9 Batchat Artie, and that doesn't have the autoloader. So he only has 1 shot to take out the Batchat. Now, even though the Batchat is on 100 HP, he barely misses this truck, which is unfortunate, because now if the Batchat was paying attention, he knows where this Artie is. He's trying to bait the Batchat and firing, but he can't really, but he takes him out. Batchat puts a shot in, a low roll. He did 320 something damage, which is a really low roll for a Batchat. And the Artie hits, so well done Artie. He saved the match. That's good. So this was a win, after all, even though Joran unfortunately had to die. He handled the situation really well, and this also shows some of the limitations of this TD, because it's a huge slow box of a tank, and if you have large open maps where there's no arty, you can put some effective fire down, and it's more likely for enemies to ding off your armor. But these close range engagements are tricky because there's so many angles on these maps. You've got the central hill path, you've got the right path, a couple of paths on the left. It's really hard to keep an eye on all of them at once, and this is not really favorable for heavy armor TDs, which usually are used to guard one flank against the enemy, or pretty much on their own if possible. But it wasn't really possible in this match, but Joran handled it really well by first going right, scaring the enemy to death on that flank so they wouldn't push, and then went back to the middle to put some effective fire down there. And from there on, his team did really well, but they sort of melted too fast. But luckily, he and the RT in the end, as well as the Object 268, he put some really nice shots into that Waffenträger and killed the Unicum AMX 120. In the end, they were able to save the match, so all is good. It was a really entertaining match to watch. And Joran, whenever you have more of these really nice matches, do please send them. I love watching them, and I love providing commentary for them. I hope you liked this one as well. And for all the other guys, I hope you liked it as well. If you did, feel free to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.